Hello and welcome again to another flight video. And in this one, well, as I was mentioning, if you're going to watch the can we make the MiG growl episode 5, I was mentioning in one of the latest episode that I enjoy being a ground attacker. So this is one of my favorite aircraft, which is the AV-8 B Night Attack Harrier, which is also available on DCS. I will provide you a link to it in below the video anyway. And of course I will be demonstrating here the takeoff procedure from the USS Tarawa. I've already started up the plane and it's already armed. We have less fuel than normal, so we have to be careful about lingering much in the target zone, but here it is. I'll give you an outside glimpse. So we have a gun pod, a targeting pod, two Mavericks and two rocket launchers, and two AIM-9 Sidewinders for air-to-air defense. Now the Harrier is still, I think, considered early access, so not all features are implemented. For example, the INS navigation system and so on, but over time they'll be available as the product progresses. So let's go and prepare for takeoff. So what we need to do is set off this water switch. Water switch is used during takeoff to keep the engines from overheating. We set it to takeoff mode. We're going to push those brakes down and we're going to start pushing the throttle forward. As soon as we start moving, and gear up, and we're going to start slowly raising the nozzles. The nose has a habit of dropping. They function a lot like flaps in some ways. If you remember, I have told you on a few occasions, when you drop the flaps, the nose has a tendency of going down. Now we are off the deck, and we have entered a regular flight. We're going to go into nav mode. We don't need anymore the VSTOL mode, and the water system will be turned off. We have used some during the takeoff, but not much. And we are going to employ the targeting pod, so I'm not still good with this. This is the plane I'm flying when I'm not making videos about the MiG for you guys. This is the plane I'm regularly flying. So I flew off the Tarawa. I am looking around, so let's see. We know there's a target area that I have created in this specific mission. It's not the same one as in the MiG mission. This is a bit different. It's mostly aimed at modern aircraft. And let's see. Now our radar altitude is about 3,000 feet, and we're going to continue climbing. Let's trim her down a bit. We don't need to climb that fast. And there we go. We are going towards Batumi, actually. And I'm going to cut the power a little bit. We don't need to go that fast. This is much more responsive on a power level compared to the MiG. It's actually quite responsive. Now let's do a nice turn. As you can see, the HUD is much more complex here. I actually It provides you with a lot of useful information. I don't have to look at my backup instruments. It does have still backup instruments, of course. It needs them, but... And we are going to start to prepare for our attack run, so we know that the enemy has some trucks on an abandoned airfield. So what we're going to do, we are going to set this master arm on. We're going to go to the menu, and here I have the weapon options, so stores, and I'm going to choose the IRMVs, air to ground, IRMV, and we're going to wait for these to warm up. Now, the Maverick, when I say warm up, I mean the seeker heads that come inside the missiles require a bit of warm up before we can use them to actually track targets on the ground. So yeah, that is going to take us a while. We're gonna orbit a bit around this area. So it says weapons fail here. I do not know why. When the missiles are ready, we're gonna have here ready, basically. Ready tone, and Pontiac, by the way, is one of our allied flights. There's also a KC-135, that's a fuel tanker. What you see here is the refueling probe, so this plane is capable of air-to-air refueling. Nothing I have tried yet, but... And speaking of airfields, if we run out of fuel, I'm not capable of landing it yet back on the boat, so... Let's do a bit of stabilization here. I'll be landing it on a regular airfield. And to track our target, we will use this other screen here, this MCPD, multifunctional color display, or something like that. I think that was the actual name for it, in order to... I forgot to set the flaps to auto. See there. This is something I keep forgetting, so setting the flaps to auto. The computer basically in the plane is capable of handling the flaps depending on our nozzle orientation and the parameters we're flying in. So now we're accelerating because we were not flying on full speed because due to lower flaps, so increased drag. Let's check our... Oh, we're still okay with the fuel. We're not using that much. Batumi airfield is right here, so we're going to be waiting for these Mavericks to get ready. Now, we can use the targeting pod, or we can use the DMT, which is dual mode tracker. So we can go here, we can either activate the targeting pod, which is covered quite extensively on the internet, or we can activate the DMT. Now, what is this DMT that I'm talking about? This DMT is a dual mode tracker, and it helps us basically track targets on the ground. And we're going down a bit, so let's... As you can see here, it's providing me image from ahead. So it's looking here, it's bore sighted, and it's looking here. Now we're gonna loiter around a bit here, so it's not much. This airplane, of course, is quite advanced. I will actually even post a link about the AV-8 Wikipedia link. You can read about the aircraft. It's used not just by the United States Marine Corps, which is its primary user at the moment, but also by the Italian and Spanish navies, as it seems to fulfill their light close air support role quite well. This is based on the GR7 Harrier, I think. They have many things that make them identical. GR9 I don't know much about, so I cannot claim I'm an expert. Now let's see. So this is set to INS. This is the laser tracker, TMT again. So we can cycle using the sensor select through various modes, but we're going to keep it to DMT. And we don't want to use the FLIR. This is looking for a laser code at the moment, but there's nothing lasing anything on the ground. And of course we can slew this. So this cursor, I'm going to show you specifically. Okay, all right. This can be actually slewed, and I can actually start tracking targets on the ground. As you can see on this display, I'm getting the information I need. Now I can of course bore sight it again. And now we're going to go back to using the Mavericks, and we're going to turn here. We're about 30,000 feet off the ground. So we're already in air-to-ground mode. The aircraft is ready to go. Once we are done with these, we are going to actually use the rockets for a few runs, then return to one of the airfields, and that will be it. But the main demonstration is basically, the main purpose of this video is to show you one of the airplanes I enjoy the most, which is the Harrier. I also like the A-10, but the Harrier seems a lot simpler in some ways. Well, the way it's built, I find the cockpit very intuitive for the Harrier. You will see this in many United States used aircraft, so the up control panel. Many other countries use them as well, not just the US, of course. And this is used to enter all sorts of information. For example, IFF identification codes, altitude, weapon modes, TACAN, which is radio navigation. If you remember the MiG-15 videos, it's in a way similar to the ADF, but it's much more advanced. So forgive me, I just need to check out if I set my TDC action. Yeah, I have. Target designation cursor action means basically I can use the TDC to track targets. TDC is, as I said, target designation cursor. You will find this terminology, for example, even in the F5 or even in the MiG-21. They both come with TDCs. Of course, they have completely different roles, as the F5 and MiG-21 use it mostly for air-to-air combat, but it's the same idea. It's basically a system that allows me to designate the current target for the system to track or follow. It's not that complicated. Now, I have used the Harrier often in non-recorded videos to try to use laser-guided bombs, and I was successful. And most of the weapons are relatively easy to use. If you want to, of course, fly the Harrier, you can, and the controls will be very similar, I think, at some point to those of the Hornet. I mean, they're not exactly different aircraft. The US Marine Corps uses both Hornets and Harriers. Of course, the Hornet is much more capable in air-to-air combat, and it's much heavier as an aircraft. But you will find many similarities anyway. Should you decide to purchase any of the modules, Remember, as I usually say, just buy the planes you like. Don't buy the planes I keep mentioning here. I just mentioned them because I simply mentioned the things I like. So the target's up ahead. It's right here. That's an abandoned airfield. So we know it's there. And we are going to uncage our Mavericks. And we're going to use TDC action. Okay, let's move the nose down a bit. We're going to bore sight this. And let's try to find us a target. Now, the missile is locked onto a truck, so we shall use the rifle button. Okay. There we go. Now we're locked onto that truck. The DMT will, of course, try to follow the target. I haven't launched the Maverick yet. And I'm gonna bore sight it again. The Maverick's tracker head will also bore sight with the DMT because now they are slaved, so whatever the DMT is pointing at, the Maverick will also be pointing at. Let's check our fuel. Okay, we're still fine. Just in case, let's set our bingo value here to 1400. Now, these Mavericks that I'm using are infrared based, so they care about heat for the most part. So if the target has a heat signature, the Maverick is able to lock on it. There are also TV based and laser guided Mavericks. So when we get to those, I'm not sure if Razbam has introduced those yet, the AGM-65E, but they are capable of following a laser spot. So let's say if I'm flying with another person in a Harrier, the other person, let's say I laser the target from my targeting pod, and the other person will be able to lock their Mavericks, since then they will know the laser code for the laser designators we're using. They will be able to lock on and simply just use their AGM-65s while I continue lasing the target. So we're gonna turn here. We're gonna do a little turn. Yeah, the left screen keeps going light colored because it's detecting heat sources, so and it's unable to track any targets. So I'm simply just gonna do a turn here. Gonna climb a little bit. And I'm not good by any means with this aircraft. I just enjoy flying it again. It's one of my... I fly planes because I simply like them. And the Harrier is simple enough but complex enough to, do the things I needed to for ground attack, which is why I mainly play this game. I prefer being a ground attacker. I've never really been in a PvP situation, and I'm a bit concerned about those because I know I will probably suck very much. But, Now, let's see if we can... Our target is a bit to our right, actually. There it is. Okay, let's take a closer look. Let's see, what have we here? We're gonna try to lock onto that airfield. This is the Maverick Seeker head, by the way. So let's see if we can lock onto anything. Alright, I know where the targets are, so... Okay, the Maverick is locked. DMT is not, but it's not irrelevant now. We are 5.6 miles from the target. And rifle, there goes the missile. Now we can actually grab another target quickly. See, as you can see, this it locked on the hit signature rifle. And now we can actually follow the missiles to their targets. Boom! And both missiles have hit. Yep, we have 2 hits, 2 solid hits. And we're gonna switch this now to the normal engine report. I will not be using the DMT. There's no point in using it. Let's set our view here. CCIP rockets. We will fire. Let's set it to 2 per salvo. Should be enough. These are high explosive anti-tank rockets. These are much easier to deliver, so we deliver them with the weapons release button as usual. And we have this beeper, and we have an ammo counter here that tells us how many weapons are available in each launcher. I've also turned out our electronic countermeasures, but I don't think we need them in any way. So let's do a turn here. We know where the target is, so we're loitering in the area. Now, A-10 is much better at actually staying in the target area and hitting things, but the Harrier is not a slouch either. I mean, it has much less autonomy in terms of fuel, but it's quite decent in my opinion. And I think we will be returning to the Kobuleti airbase. It's the one that we keep using with the MiG. This is a very sharp turn. Now, what are the targets we have in the on the airfield? Are a bunch of other trucks that are located, if I remember correctly, at the end of that runway. So we will not be doing anything about them. I mean, we will be doing something about them, but we will not be... Okay, let's adjust our paper and the view. Okay, this is exactly as I wanted. So I'm going to dive on these targets, got off the power a bit. Now, when this plane is in level flight, it feels a lot like it's a regular aircraft, which it is. It's a normal aircraft. And let's zoom in here. On these targets, I don't see very well, so let's keep them in the paper. And we have a few other targets here, but we are too low, so we're gonna gain some altitude and zoom ourselves out a bit. We still have 32 rockets, so basically we can wreak quite a bit of havoc. If that was, let's say, a convoy, we could wreak quite a bit of havoc with the weapon loadout we had. We could even take on, I guess, light to medium armor. I mean, a Maverick can take out a tank, I know that for sure, I have tried it. But I don't know about these rockets. And we're gonna turn in. We have noticed some of the trucks moved to this other side of the runway. We assume for safety, just because we hit their friends. So we are going to take a close look here. We're gonna reduce the power a bit, so we have the aircraft stable for the attack run. The Pipper is, I think, capable of tracking a target. So a bit about the cockpit of the Harrier. Of course, we have the HUD, up-front control panel. This is an options panel, engine, instruments, left and right MVCD, backup instruments, ACP, left and right consoles, which all cover different aspects of the aircraft's flight, and a central console. And here we have the throttle quadrant that has also the nozzle controls. I do not want to climb anymore, so let's try to keep her here. This basically, if I now shoot, the rockets will go in that general direction. Of course, I'm not gonna go for all the trucks, but to show you a bit of more of a demonstration, I'm gonna try a few more rocket runs with the Harrier. Then we're gonna go to the Convoy airbase, which is the nearest, and we're gonna shut down for the night. This has been a productive day on the terms of video making, since we are making 2 actual videos, one for the MiG-15, one for the Harrier. So I hope you enjoy this Harrier series as well. This is not a tutorial series. I'm not aiming to teach you. I'm also learning myself, but unlike the MiG-15, I'm just having fun, and you guys get to watch me blow stuff up with the Harrier. At some point, actually, if I feel brave enough, I might even try some air-to-air combat with the Sidewinders. It's not an air-to-air fighter, obviously, but it's capable. It's a capable aircraft. Let's try to get this truck here. Peepers ready. Let's zoom out. We still have 20 rockets left, so quite a bit of ordnance, but our fuel's dying down. Let's do one more pass and then we're gonna go to Convoy. I don't need to use the gun pod, so now you're asking me what is that CCIP? I told you before, it's constantly computed impact point. So it's basically used for freefall bombs in on many occasions, and it's probably the easiest bombing mode to use in a modern aircraft. But the plane is capable of telling you which mode of operation you are using for it. So apparently we missed, so I will not launch rockets at this altitude, so we still have 10. Do we have enough fuel for underpass? I think we do. Now let's not climb too high. We can actually do a sharp turn here. Our angle of attack is about 70 degrees. Let's try to use the rudder to not. Oh, those targets have actually exploded in the end. We've hit close enough. Let's try to hit without zooming in. Sorry, this lags a little bit sometimes, but always have 2 rockets. Well, anyway, we are going to go to nav mode and master arm off. We're gonna pick the EHSD here, and we're gonna level the plane out. Now, Convoy is right beneath us, so in order to get to the airbase, we need to start entering a holding pattern. So we're going to fly first a excuse me, a descent above the airfield, and we're going to actually enter after that a normal traffic pattern and land. We are approaching our bingo fuel value, and the air WR is going crazy because there's an AWACS and several other air defenses around here that are pinging us with radar signals. On this map, there are also two MiG-29s, Allied MiG-29s, that are just flying, escorting a tanker. Okay, so that's where we're going to turn to the opposite direction, so 90 degrees. So 340. But we're gonna make a fuller turn, so from 340 we're gonna go another 90 degrees to 260, apologies. And the main purpose of this is to try to bleed off our airspeed. 27. Low fuel. Okay, so we got the bingo warning. Bingo means basically it's the safe fuel basically enough to return to our home airbase. There's the Convoy air base. I think it's 250 actually, the runway, not 260. Alright, thank you very much. I know. Now, we know Convoy has a TACAN station, so we can use that to help our approach. So Convoy has a station here. We'll need to look at it. It's 67.
Caution.
Yep, low fuel, I know. Okay. So it's on channel X67. So the way TACAN works, we can go to the TCN system here, which is TACAN. We're gonna type here 67. We're gonna enter this in the system, and we're going to turn TACAN on, and this is going to tell us that, hey, your station is at the bearing of 127. So basically it's telling me which way I'm supposed to turn. This plane, I don't know if it has ILS. I don't think it does actually, but it can fly TACAN approaches, and it's on channel X, transmit receive. And what I have here is actually the distance and the DME. So basically I know I'm 7.7 miles, and it'll take me about 1 minute from here to actually reach the airfield. So let's do a turn. A careful turn. And start reducing our speed. And the runway itself actually is 08, not 25. My apologies. Okay, the TACAN station is straight ahead, and the airbase is straight ahead, so actually let's try to use the TACAN for approach. Okay, let's get those nozzles down to... Let's put this to V-stall. We're preparing to descend. And that was the trim, not the nozzles. We're going to trigger the air brake. And we're gonna have to fly one more pattern. Still have enough fuel to land, so I'm not concerned about fuel. I'm concerned about landing safely, because we are going a bit fast. So we're gonna fly a pattern over the runway. I think it's called a base leg. I keep forgetting this terminology, so if you are, any of you there, remember these better, please feel free to post comments and so on, but okay, seems our fuel has dropped to 700 pounds. Yeah, the main reason I'm actually flying another pattern is that I would like to lose some speed.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Okay, here we are approaching the runway, and let's try to use that AWS marker that we have to actually help us rather than hinder us. We came in a bit too fast. This plane's usually supposed to be landing at 140. So you heard me also earlier mention something about DME. DME is distance measuring equipment. It's present in many radio navigation systems, such as TACAN and the VOR, also RSBN. RSBN is the Russian equivalent of the VOR. It functions in more or less the same principles. So you will basically tune onto a radio station just like TACAN and VOR, and you can intercept a course and obviously find your way to that radio station, which can be used for a myriad of applications such as uh, general radio navigation or finding your way or following simply a flight plan. And since you don't know the lay of the land, you cannot really fly visually, you can use those radio stations to identify locations. So that's pretty much RSBN, VOR, and TACAN. They're all pretty much the same. The end purpose is the same. Now, this plane actually has nose wheel steering and it's toggleable. You can turn it on and off. And if you turn it on and you use the toggle button, for example, you will have much more maneuverability on the ground. I'm just simply using the button to turn. It does not use differential braking like the MiG-15. And yes, as I said, yeah, there are aircraft like this one that have nose wheel steering. The goal is to park near those cars there, ISO. I guess that's a good enough goal. And what we are going to do, we're going to slam on the brakes a bit. And I'm going to show you the high level of nose wheel steering as a final demonstration. We're going to set this to on. Cast means, by the way, it's off. So we don't have any control over the nose wheel. We have very little fuel, like 300 pounds of fuel left. So yes, now I don't need to use the toggle button anymore. But now, what happens is nose wheel steering high, my maneuverability on the ground will increase by a lot. This is useful in the case you're landing on a carrier deck. Let's set a parking brake. And let's shut the bird down.
Warning, 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 warning.
Anyway, thank you for flying with me in the AV-8B Night Attack Harrier. This was just a demonstration of the stuff that I usually enjoy doing, and with one of the planes I enjoy flying the most. Apparently the trailing vapor over the wings is just a bug that has creeped up on the Harrier. I hope Raspman fixes it. But yep, here we go. So this was a good flight in the Harrier. You've seen a bit of Maverick employment and using of rockets. And takeoff from a carrier, landing on an airfield. Not the best landing, but still, you know, as Chuck Yeager said, if you can walk away from a landing, then it's a successful one. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do send me messages if you want to fly with me, provide me lessons, teach me if you want, or simply just fly with me and we can fool around. I will provide you links as promised about the AV-8B Night Attack and overall the AV-8B. I will link also to the module on the DCS Electronic Store. And again, remember, if you want to try DCS, it's an awesome simulator if you enjoy combat simulators. It has it has a lot of depth, and the modules most of them are amazing. Again, thank you for joining me in my Harrier's cockpit, and I wish you all a nice next week and a lovely night. Thank you, bye-bye.